everyone, it's Ash and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell from my voice, which sounds utterly amazing today, I am a little bit sick. No, it is not corona. It is just a little bit of a head cold. I had none of the corona symptoms, and when I was doing research on the coronavirus, you gradually get the symptoms. I got every single one of these symptoms for my cold in like 10-minute intervals pretty much. I had a sore throat, and then I had a runny nose and a blocked nose and a cough all in one go. So, and the cough wasn't very big, so I didn't really care much about it. Like, it wasn't a big deal or anything because like there was barely any cough. It was mainly just my nose was all stuffed up and dripping a bit. My eyes are very sensitive at the moment as well, so I have a feeling that part of this is hay fever as well. I've spent a lot of time outside over the last few days. Yesterday I was outside tanning and I was lying in the middle of my lawn. And today I had horse riding, obviously, hence why I'm wearing this shirt. I had horse riding. It was windy, so there was a lot of dust and dirt just flying around, but obviously it's outside, so there's pollen gonna go everywhere. So I sound beautiful and my eyes hurt so much. So this window right behind me is so bright right now. I really should have lowered the blind a bit more, but I really didn't think it would be this bad. But anyway, as you can also tell, my eyelashes are coming off. I live in South Australia. We have not gone into full lockdown, but all beauty salons and beauty services and stuff like that have all ceased. So no eyelashes, no nails, everything like that. And I have a casualty already. One nail is gone, the rest is still on. But I did buy acetone so that I can put it on cotton balls and then wrap it in foil and sit like that for a bit and try and like soak the acrylic off, because this one I actually peeled off, which was really bad because the nail's now so weak, and it felt bruised and still feels a little bruised, but it felt bruised for days after I did it. But it was literally just getting caught in like my hair when I tuck it behind my ears and like all that sort of stuff. It was just getting in the way, so I just decided to peel it off, and that was a really bad idea because it really hurt. So don't peel your nails off, do the right thing and use acetone. Yeah, so in regards to the horse riding lesson today, I know last week was an interesting one. I know I said I wanted to quit, but my lessons work on like a 4-week basis pretty much. Hang on. So yeah, last week's lesson I said I wanted to quit. My lessons work on like a month-to-month basis or a 4-week basis, and I still had 1 week left, which was this week. I was basically ready to give up last week. I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to do the lesson today. You know, it was just very like, I was so frustrated and so upset. And I knew that if I had another bad lesson, like it was just gonna be, I was literally gonna tell them to shove it. Like, not in so many words, but I was gonna be done. And then over the week I sort of thought about it, and I sort of calmed myself down, and I was like, look, it's just horse riding. Like, yeah, okay, you had a couple of really bad lessons, you know, and you're feeling like crap, but you enjoy it for the most part, even if things aren't going right. Like, you can't just shove it, like, just give it away for no reason, really. And then, so when I went up there today, I wasn't really apprehensive. I thought I would be really nervous about going. I thought I was gonna hate it. And then while I was, like when I first got there, I was waiting to talk to Mrs. K, who works in the office, just to confirm whether it was paying this week or next week, because the sign hadn't been out last week, and normally it's out the week before we have to pay. But it was out this week, so I was like, oh, okay, I better double check and see if it's this week or next week. And yeah, while I was waiting, because there's only allowed to be like one person on the veranda at once, and there was another lady and her daughter standing there talking to Mrs. K, so I had to wait. And then while I was standing there, I heard Caitlin respond to one of the riders from the class before who asked if she had Ted. And Caitlin said, no, Ashley has him. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I've been put on Ted today. That's different. That'll be a different lesson, a bit of a different lesson. And I was like, okay, so I wasn't going into the lesson like completely hating it already. So once we I like asked Mrs. K the question, and she said like it had to be paid this week, and I was like, okay, so this lesson is going to be my decider on whether or not I come back. And I went up into the arena and took Ted's reins and like just started getting him ready, and lowered his stirrups, tightened his girths, adjusted the stirrups to make them my length, because the gentleman who rides Ted before me is very tall. He's very, very long legs. So even having long stirrups on Ted, like I still need to raise them about 2 holes from this gentleman, which is what I did. And they were still fairly long. Like they were nowhere near what I used to have when I had Ted, so they were still fairly long. But yeah, so then Michelle was like helping us with like checking girths and stuff like that. And I thought, oh cool, we've got Michelle, it might be a better lesson. And then she said, oh, Mr. K will be down in a minute. Do you guys just want to go for a large lap walking? We were like, okay, that's fine. Basically, the lesson was pretty good. I was second at every time, even when they swapped leaders, I was second. Which was getting a little frustrating at some points because Ted was actually moving for me. He was doing what I asked. The only time he ever had an issue was when he was too close to the horse in front. I couldn't get him to keep out. He would literally and the first rider we had in front was Caitlin, who was on Toledo, so a different horse for her, but she was struggling with him. She couldn't get him to trot and then couldn't get him to canter. And we were really close because Ted's obviously got a longer gait, but instead of putting me in front, and she was sort of cutting corners and stuff, so Ted was just following. And then instead of putting like Ted in front, Mr. K put Sophie and Boy in front, and Boy really hates leading as well, so Sophie was struggling with him really hard to get him into like the canter as well. But then she was cutting corners, and because Ted was so close, like I couldn't keep him out. He was literally tossing his head and throwing it sideways, and I was like, I don't know what, like I'm squeezing with my inner leg, why is this so hard? And then I purposely, when we got asked to canter, like we slowed down to a trot and a walk, and then when we got asked to trot and then canter again, I purposely held off letting Ted go and let Sophie get heaps far in front, and then we went. And I managed to keep him out on every corner. So I was getting very confused and very frustrated because whenever he got too close to another horse, he would follow them tail, like top to tail basically. Wherever they went, he went. And then when it was just the two of us, like a little bit further apart, I could keep him out. He'd go where I wanted him to. And I was just getting really frustrated. And I was like, oh, maybe like Mr. K should have let us take the lead. He might have actually been good at the lead. But yeah, anyway, we did finish the lesson like 5 minutes early, which was fine. We did quite a lot of work, and it was very windy, like I said, the dirt was flying, so my throat was killing me. So basically we did finish the lesson off with a canter up the hill. Caitlin on Toledo did not make the hill. She actually opted to stay in the arena, didn't even want to come up with us. But Imogen this time did. So we walked down, we trotted from the arena along the driveway, and then when I got to the down bit, we slowed to a walk, and then I noticed Imogen was behind us, and I said, oh, are you going to do the canter or are you turning around? And she's like, no, I'm going to do the canter. I was like, oh, okay. Sophie, when we get to the bottom, like just the flat part, just hold up so that Imogen can catch up. And she's like, yeah. So we got to the flat. We sort of just stopped for a minute just to let Imogen catch up on Tully Rin, and then we double checked that she was okay, and then off we went. And it was just like a really nice canter. I was able to keep Ted going, and there was a moment when Boy started slowing down, and I just called out to him, and I was like, come on Boy, keep going, and he did. And like we didn't quite make it the whole way to the very top gate, but we made it pretty much to it, which was really good considering like the last canter I did up there was on Tarantino and we stopped like halfway up the hill. So yeah, and I was actually able to use my legs. I wasn't using my crop to get him to go. I was literally just using my heels. So it was a really good lesson, and I did end up filling out my form and paying for the next 4 weeks. And I did double check about the whole corona thing. If they were going to shut down, would it be announced on Facebook or would we get a phone call? Because sometimes they just announce things on Facebook if it's really sudden. And Michelle just said to me, no, you should get a phone call, but it might be announced on Facebook just before you get the phone call. So if they've done like a bunch of calls and then then they decide, okay, it's getting too long, we need to put a Facebook post up, they'll put a Facebook post up and then they'll continue the calls. So obviously they do it in order of like, who's the next person, like who's the next lesson and stuff like that. They're not going to call Saturday's lessons when they're closing from Wednesday because they have privates that they need to call and stuff. So so she's pretty sure that because it is an outdoor center, we're not indoors, and we are mounting and dismounting in the outdoor arena at the moment. We're not doing that indoors very much. And even indoors, like, it's just 2 sides. Like the front and back entrance only have about 1 meter of shed either side of them. They're massive doors, so even the like mounting indoors isn't really indoors. But yeah, so we've been mounting up in the outdoor arena anyway and dismounting in the outdoor arena. But yeah, so they're pretty certain like they won't get shut down, or if it is, it'll be when it's like full government lockdown, like the whole country ceases and desists doing everything other than food shopping and I think it's medicines and doctors and stuff like that. So yeah, so it was a better lesson, and I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed, that next week's lesson goes pretty well as well, because I don't want another bad one. But if it happens, it happens, and I need to remember that 1 bad lesson doesn't mean that I'm bad at riding, and even 2 bad lessons doesn't mean I'm bad at riding. It just means that there's more for me to learn and I need to work harder. And I think sometimes I do struggle with that because I feel like I'm working so hard with Tarantino, but I guess I'm not working hard enough for him. So there's more for me to learn. Being put on TED and being able to use my legs today, like I knew that I was doing the right thing. I could focus on my legs rather than being like, you're not going to go, I need to just kick and kick and kick. Because it was just like the littlest of squeezes and then the kicks, like he was fine. So I know my leg aches, but sometimes I just struggle to remember them when I'm trying to get Tarantino to go. So yeah, fingers crossed next week's a good lesson, but if not, we'll go with it from there. Anyway, I'm going to go and have something to eat and hopefully get some more sun before it goes down, because I wore this tank top today and you can see the line of where my tank top was, so I need to re-tan. I need to fix those spots because that is horrible, and I want to get my legs out and sun a bit more. So yeah, I'm going to pop off now. Hope everyone's had a good week, and I will see you next week. Bye.